tears. "Wait until my father hears about this."
"Shut up," Antonio said. "Please, just keep your mouth shut."
It wasn't a favorable response, but at least he'd said something. His words sounded almost as pleading as Luma's own questions, like he was frantically trying to find a way to justify all of this. Tabitha had to be behind it. Of course. Tabitha had always hated her. So Luma shut up, and she waited. She tried to be patient and wait for Antonio to come to his senses. He'd do the right thing. She just had to give him time to come to his senses. He'd abducted his boss's stepdaughter while her husband was out of town on business. Antonio was probably just trying to figure out how to take Luma home without letting her father know what he'd done. Or rather, what Tabitha had ordered him to do. It had to be the stupid modeling contract, Luma thought, while Antonio drove them deeper and deeper into the woods. Damn it! I don't even want to be a model! Tabitha had blown up at her yesterday. She'd gone downtown in the morning to get her lips plumped, and the esthetician had used a new type of filler. Tabitha's lips had blown up like balloons, and she came home looking like she had a pair of plump red hot dogs beneath her nose. They looked painful, and she was irritable. And then she'd seen the contract that Luma had left on the desk in her father's study. Luma wanted him to review it when he came home from his business trip. She'd never imagined herself as a model, never wanted that kind of attention, but people kept saying she was beautiful, and it was a natural fit for her. She'd gone to the modeling agency, mostly to humor the agent who kept trying to recruit her, and because she was 18 now, and she still didn't know what she wanted to be when she grew up. Why not a model? She thought when they offered her the contract. So she brought it home and promised the agency an answer just as soon as she had a chance to discuss it with her father. Then Tabitha saw the contract and lost it. Luma had never seen her so angry, actual spittle flying from her overpuffed lips as she slammed the contract down in front of Luma. "You don't even want to be a model," she said, narrowing her eyes at Luma. "You don't want your trust fund either. You don't appreciate anything you've got, and it's all just been handed to you. Ungrateful girl." Tabitha hadn't spoken to Luma since yesterday, but the longer Antonio drove, the more certain she was that this was all Tabitha's doing. Am I ungrateful? She was wondering for the 100th time, when the car hit a pothole and she could no longer ignore the fullness of her bladder. "Antonio?" she asked softly. "Don't talk," he said. "Antonio," she insisted, trying not to anger him. "I really have to pee. I can't hold it much longer." She looked at him, and for once he looked back at her. She was begging him, wordlessly. "Please, on top of everything else, please don't put me through the humiliation of wetting myself." He hadn't listened to anything else she said so far, but the desperation in her eyes was what finally cracked him. He sniffed, then looked at the clock on the dashboard, probably trying to figure out how far they'd come from the house. Far enough. Luma's father loved to be in the middle of the action, and he'd built his mansion in the center of the city. Luma had never even been this far into the wilderness, and it might as well have been a whole other country.
"Fine," Antonio said. "Hold on a minute."
"Thank you," Luma said. "Thank you, Tony." He scowled at her. Was that too much, calling him by his nickname? He never minded it before, but he'd never abducted her before either. Antonio found a dirt road that branched off the 2-lane highway and turned onto it. Road was pretty generous, actually. It was barely more than a couple of grooves worn into the dirt. He drove the car just far enough so that it wouldn't be seen from the road, then turned off the engine. The passenger door unlocked automatically, and Luma reached for the handle, but Antonio locked it again with the push of a button on the driver's side door.
"I'm coming around to get you."
"Okay," Luma squeaked. When he opened the door from the outside, he extended his hand to help Luma out, probably more through instinct than anything else. She took his hand, shaking her head so the blindfold fell all the way down to her neck, and she said hopefully, "You know, Tabitha gets in her moods all the time. I bet by the time we drive home, she'll have forgotten what she was mad about."
"Do you have to pee or don't you?"
Antonio asked.